Okay, we're here with Ashton Sylve, Willie Mcginest, 3-time Super Bowl champ, future world champ, Ashton Sylve. What's the relation between you and Ashton? I seen you have show a lot of support for the fans that don't know.
Family, like my nephew, like, you know, cousins with my daughter, so he's actual family.
Tell us about Ashton Sylve, the person.
Quiet, humble. He's a great kid. He's definitely motivated to be the best. You wouldn't know what he did if you didn't watch him. Likes to swim, go to the lake, have fun, be a kid, play football, all those different things. He's a good kid, man. He's driven. He works his butt off. I can't pull him away for like a mini vacation or to do anything because he lives in the gym. Yeah. But he loves his family and he loves what he does. He loves his craft.
You know, being a Super Bowl champion, you know the hard work ethic that it takes to accomplish the highest feat in your respectable sport. Ashton setting out to do what you did in football, but in boxing, what kind of advice do you give him in terms of wanting to be great and working for it?
I think he already embodies all that. You know, anytime you love something, you got to embrace the things that are not comfortable. You got to embrace the hard work. You got to sacrifice. You know, when everybody's out doing everything else, sacrifice that to be, you know, in the gym or on the field or whatever. You got to have a certain mentality where you can't let distractions pull you away from what the goal is, and you got to have a certain work ethic where you got to outwork everybody. Like, it's good to be, I tell my daughters this all the time, and I know he knows this because he's fought all over the country, but it's good to be the best here, you know, in California and around here. But who you're really competing against is everybody across the country. You know, if you're really trying to be the best, because that's how they rank you, and that's your competition. It's not locally. So I always tell them, you're not outworking, you know, or just working to work. You're outworking your competition. You're doing more than everybody else is doing to put yourself on a certain level, you know. And this kid, you don't have to tell him. You know, it's like he's born for it, and his demeanor. You know, he can run 10 miles and be in the ring for 3 hours and get beat up on the weights and everything else, and he's still smiling. You wouldn't even know he went through all that. So it shows, you know, his confidence. It shows when he's actually, you know, in the ring and working. Yeah.
Ashton, when did you first learn that lesson, the advice that Willie Mcginest is giving you about having to dedicate yourself with the work ethic and that? When did you first learn that that's the secret to success? Or?
Just growing up, that's been put in my head since an early age. Like everybody, like that's what just our family kind of does, just put that into our family's brain to know that that's what we're working to get past our competition across the country, like he said. That's why my dad took me overseas to fight Ireland and England, and sometimes we went to Mexico. Like now we're in Mexico right now, only because of my age, but we've still been there too. Everywhere across the country, even in the States.
Having attended Ashton's fights in Mexico, can you just talk to us about what you're seeing right now from him, what you perceive?
I'm seeing what he puts into his work. You know, I'm seeing the fruit of his labor, and the fights don't last long because the competition is not what he is. Yeah. And Ashton just turned 17.
Turned on a 28.
He's turning 17. He's a 16-year-old fighting 22, 21, 23-year-old men that's had multiple professional fights already. And to see him going there with that confidence and that skill set, and to know already above and beyond what somebody his age should be doing and knowing, is pretty impressive. So when we went over there in Caravan and was cheering, it was just like watching like art. Yeah, it was art in motion. It was just watching him get down and all the things that he's been working on, just going in there and actually like doing it.
Yeah, he's a very mature young man. Even in the ring when he fights, he seems very experienced. Does he remind you of any throwback fighter that maybe you grew up watching yourself and you're like, oh, this kid is a mirror image of
Man,
that?
I was a big fighting fan, man. You know, of course I watched Mayweather and all these guys, but maybe like Sweet Pea Whitaker, a guy that was kind of quiet, his demeanor was more quiet, wasn't like as brash. Man, I've watched Sugar Ray, I watched Hack, I watched everybody, man. And I was just like, Ashton is Ashton, but I can see a mix of a lot of different fighters. And he'll tell you that. Like, to be great, I think you got to study everybody and see what everybody does really well. And you take from here, and you take from there, and you always add it to what you do. And you're never trying to be somebody else. But if somebody is great at something and somebody's a great teacher, you're going to take all the things that they tell you and they incorporate it in what you do. As a player, I did that. I watched, you know, Lawrence Taylor. I watched Andre Tippett. You know, I watched all those guys. And the one thing that I say is, like, I might have got my get off from one guy. I might have got my hand technique and learned certain things from another guy. You know, I might have got my, you know, on the line, how to extend and grab and do it. Whatever it is, you just learn and you add it to your arsenal. And you make it a part of you. But, you know, he's been, like I said, training since he was a baby. So he has the skill set. He just learns and looks from everybody else.
Yeah. So what fighters do you take from a little bit of pieces like Willie here?
Almost every name that he named out. My dad had me watching all the old school fighters and all the younger generation, just how you said, just take it from different here and there from every good fighter. Even if they're not so good, everybody has something good that they have.
Yeah.
And even with the trainers, my dad take me to different trainers around the world, and we would just get something from here and there. And sparring too, like sparring with champions, we do the same thing. So just all that came together and just made me.
You know, real quick, what's important about that is, like, I played 15 years in the league. And a lot of time guys get complacent and they think they know it all and they got it all at a young age, and you really don't. If you're not learning, then you're falling behind. And I would say in my 15th season, my last year before I retired, I was still learning the game of football. And I think the great athletes, the great fighters, when you get older and you get more seasoned, you're always trying to learn more. Like Tom Brady's 43, he's been in the league 21 years. When you talk to him, he's still trying to find different ways to get the edge. And he's got more football IQ than anybody you can name. You know, that's playing. He's the oldest player in the league, I believe.
Yeah.
But he's still always trying to find something to enhance his game. And I think that's what, you know, that's what he understands. He's not trying to be nobody, but I watch Mike Tyson watch tape. You know, I watch some of the greatest fighters ever watch tape on some of the old fighters, Jack Johnson, or, you know, some, you know, Brown Bomber, whoever the case may be. And I think that's the smartest thing in the world, is to be a student, you know, a student of your craft, and always learning, always understanding, picking up little things here and there.
And as he's had the privilege of being exposed to all these great fighters you're naming, he was kind of part of the camps for the Pacquiao and Mayweather when they fought each other. I asked him, what's the most significant memory you have about? I know you were so young, but do you recall anything from those days, man? Like anything that stood out, just as a little 8-year-old kid that I think.
Just the work ethic, really.
Yeah.
Pacquiao, he around for days and still be having a great stamina. So I know that's a big part of the fight. Stamina is a big thing. Floyd, the same way. I think he sparred probably 15-minute rounds with different people. It's not the same people, because you know, other fighters get tired out. So he's bringing a fresh body in there, and he's still hanging in there with them and doing what he wants. And that's what, especially from Floyd, because I've been in a lot of Floyd's camps. And just knowing that, because I remember one day he told me, he asked me, he was in the ring and he asked me what punch or I think he called out a punch that he was going to throw. And he did it, but I didn't look, because I was kind of nonchalant about it. I was just looking away, not really paying attention.
You didn't understand it at the time.
Yeah, I was young, so I wasn't really focused on it like that. Then he was like, you didn't see it? Because I'll do it again. And it it's just kind of controlling, like just understanding how he does things.
And looking back at it now, you understand it now. You're like, oh, it's like kind of something great, like being great, able to do such thing. Willie, can you just touch on that? You talked about in your 15th year still learning and then retiring. Any advice to Ashton about just enjoying the journey and the path you're on before, like, even getting to that kind of point, you know, and just enjoying the ride?
I told him before he turned pro, I'm like, every moment is special. You're gonna like think about this stuff. He's not thinking now because he's still young. He's not even in his prime yet. He's still learning how to box, and it goes so fast. I remember my rookie season, and then I remember retiring. And I was like, where did the 15 years go? And the only thing you have to latch on is all the memories, and to look back and say, I felt like I had a great career because I did everything the right way. I worked my ass off. I was respected by the people I played against, and I had great teammates. I won a lot, and we won championships. We did what a lot of people couldn't do multiple times, and I lasted. I worked so I can last and play at a certain level. And when I walked away from the game, it wasn't like, oh man, he should retire. He's terrible. It's kind of like I walked away the way I wanted to, still playing at a certain level. And I just think, like, if I had anything to tell you, it's just like, enjoy the journey, man. Like, enjoy every time you come in here and train, every time you spar, every time you hop in the ring, when you're watching tape. Because at some point, you're going to be further down your career. You're going to, like, just remember all the great things that got you there. And that's what makes it special. It's not really the destination. It's like you said, the journey getting there. And once you get there, and then you're there and you keep winning and you keep accomplishing things. At the end of the day, like all great athletes, like, you got an expiration date. You go and retire at some point. Nobody's, like, Father Time is undefeated. We all walk away from whatever we do at some point. So just take advantage of it and embrace it.
I gotta bring it up. I think it is relevant to you and Ashton because a lot of people aren't too happy with guys like Jake Paul coming into the sport, Logan Paul, getting these big fights, these big opportunities, these big purses, and maybe not having to work for it. Where do you stand on that? And then watching Ashton Sylve, who's working his way to those moments, those big purses and whatnot. What do you make of the sport of boxing where it's at right now in terms of that?
I think it's a little different. I think when you talk about Ashton and all the great fighters we mentioned, that's like boxing. I think some of the other things that's going on are like one-offs. And if somebody doesn't like what Jake Paul or whoever is doing, then they need to get in the ring and whip his ass. If not, then Jake Paul is doing what Jake Paul is doing. He's training, he's sparring. This is obviously something he really has, like, a passion, and he wants to do it, and he loves it. So he's putting in the work. So I don't really have nothing against what he's doing. I think that he's going in there and trying to represent the boxing world to a different, in a different aspect. But he's putting in the work. And then when he gets in the ring, it shows versus the dudes that he's fighting that's not. Yeah. So if somebody got an issue or a problem with it, then they need to handle that in the ring with Jake Paul to show him, okay, it was, whatever the case may be, I respect what you're trying to do, whatever, but this is the real deal. Yeah. Versus, and I just think what they're doing is is a little bit different. He was a celebrity before he got into boxing, but I respect how he's trying to, go about things. And if somebody don't like it, they need to try to change that in the ring with him.
Yeah, that's exactly what I agree on. Yeah. And he also bringing entertainment or more eyes into the boxing. So it's good in a way it's good for boxing. I get why other people kind of upset for that, but it should be motivating you to get to that level. And
he's 2-0. He's fighting a current world boxer in his next fight. Coming off
fighter?
Yeah.
So it should look a little different than the last fight, right?
You think You think it'll look different in fighting an actual pro fighter, like compared to like a Nate Robinson, who's an NBA?
Maybe he's. I know he's been training for probably like 3 years.
About 3 years, yeah. He has been training.
So he's, like he was saying, he was working. Yeah. So, and he's still working to this day. So I want to see what that's going to look like if you find a current boxer that's actually, I guess, being in the ring. Because there's a lot of boxers, but there's not a lot of good boxers out there. They can train for how many years and how many days. It depends if it's efficient or not. Yeah. So I want to know who the boxer is.
But the boxers that's coming in as well, like that feels disrespected. Like you said, you can train forever. You've been training since you're 7, 8 years old, and you can have a certain skill set. Like it's a little different. But if you're mad that this dude can come in and do some of the things you haven't done in 3 years, and you've been doing it for 15 years or 12 years or whatever, isn't that kind of saying something about you and what you've been doing?
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? So, like I said, like a lot of people don't like it, but you got to respect it. And if you don't, then you should probably try to do something about it if you fit in that weight class or whatever the case may be.
At the end of the day, people gonna have to live with it. Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul. What's your prediction?
How big is Logan Paul? I'm pretty sure Floyd is smart enough. Like he's been through it. He's a veteran. He knows when fights to take and when to take it. So I'm pretty sure he has something against that. But yeah, because you know that weight. If he's high up on weight, I'm pretty sure Floyd make him lose a lot of that
some kind of
weight.
Weight stipulation, so he won't have too much
Floyd's smart, so you know, at the end of the day, Floyd wins.
Yeah. What do you think, Willie, of that fight? The biggest name in boxing in the past 20 years, fighting a YouTuber, so to speak.
It's not gonna be close. I think Logan Paul, man, should rethink that. He's fighting the best probably in some minds ever, and he's not gonna be able to hit Floyd. That's one. His defense is too immaculate. Like the way he moves, he's too quick, he's too fast, and he's fought, you know, bigger fighters before. He fought Canelo. He fought some other guys that were bigger and, you know, maybe stronger. Doesn't matter in boxing. Boxing is an art. It's different. You know, it's how good your craft and your skill set is. No matter how big and strong you are. So I know Logan is really reaching and really wanting this fight and was kind of egging it on and pushing it. Of course, big names, but Floyd is not like, he's not a joke. Like he's not gonna come in there playing. If you want to see entertainment, you're gonna see it, but you're gonna see it on some real shit, like him really getting his man. So I think Floyd feels like disrespectful that this dude would even call him out because of what he's done. He just mentioned Pacquiao and some of these other guys, you know what I mean? Like
I say he's gonna go get boxing's respect.
Floyd, like this is what boxing is really like. Like you gotta respect the game. Like what you guys, I think what Floyd wanna say is what you were doing ain't really what we've been doing or what we've done or what I've done. It's boxing and then it's this other thing that we're doing now. And respect the game. I think Floyd, I don't know why he had to go that high to the very top, but man, it's not good.
All right, Willie, last words for all the fans out there waiting for Ashton's fight, January 30th. Anything you want to tell them about supporting Ashton?
Yeah, man, support my nephew. Tune in. He's one of the best fighters, man. He works hard. He's mean in the ring. He got that little baby boy smile. I always tell him he's humble and always smiling and nice, but man, he's an animal when he get in the ring, and I love to watch him work, and he's gonna put on the show. So make sure you guys tune in or come or whatever the case may be. Come support my nephew, Ashton Sylve.
All right, thank you guys.